So I think we need to give ourselves permission to say, I'm not quitting, I'm adapting.
Right.
That's
And
good.
that is not failure, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
So that can give us more freedom.
Welcome to More Than Small Talk. We're Susie Eller,
Jennifer Watson,
and Holly Girth, writers and real life friends. We're inviting you to go deeper, become freer, and feel more connected.
So imagine you have a cup of coffee, a mug of tea, or a green smoothie in your hand,
and we're all hanging out in your favorite place together.
Hey, More Than Small Talk friends. We're so glad you're with us this week. We are wrapping up a little mini series that we have been doing to kick off the new year about planning. So we have done Let's Make a Plan about tips and tricks and what works for us. Based on how we're wired when it comes to planning, we have talked about there's no plan B that can bring us reassurance when life does not turn out the way that we planned. And this week, we are going to talk about the art of flexibility, which is how do we adapt when our plans are changing? So, Susie, this was on your heart. Can you tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to talk about this?
I think that we can become slaves to our plan or slaves to our expectations or the expectations of others. So being flexible is something that we don't often talk about when we're talking about planning. Now, I've been walking several miles for now a couple of years every single morning. I walk somewhere between 5 to 7 miles every day with a group of friends. I started taking yoga, and one of the things that I found out is that while I'm getting stronger in my legs, I have lost flexibility. Because the first yoga class, I was like, what in the world has happened to my body? I cannot do what I used to do so easily. And what was explained to me is that I have created a pattern in my life where I am doing the same thing over and over. My body has become accustomed to that. It has made me strong in one area, but I lost flexibility. So now I'm learning and going to yoga classes on how to be flexible again. What in the world does that have to do with our conversation today? Sometimes we can get so stuck in those expectations that I talked about that we can get really strong. And then when we hit a detour or life takes an unexpected turn, we don't know how to be flexible. We feel like the road has ended right there. And so I wanted to talk about flexibility today. What does that look like when we're planning in this new year? What does it look like when a detour comes and you didn't see it coming? And how does that work from person to person?
Oh gosh. I mean, like I was just taking that in. I could just like visually picture that moment wasn't just talking about our flexibility and body, but of heart and life, because we do have these certain paths that we're like, this is where I'm going. So I have had to adapt a plan and be open to unexpected direction a lot in my life, especially with being in ministry. I've been in ministry for 24 years. There's always been moments where I've had to adapt and where ministry did not look like what I thought it was supposed to. And moments where I was like, yeah, I don't even want to do ministry, but I do want to love people. And so I feel like can easily pivot, but I don't know why that is, or if it's just something that I've had to do so often in life. I'm just okay with it. So yeah, I would love to know your thoughts, Holly, on what that's like for you. You're a planner, you love spreadsheets, all of that.
Yeah. I think I'm probably a 9-wing one for the Enneagram. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a little bit of probably both, why I like rhythms instead of routines and things like that. But, with this topic, I really thought a lot about how our family unfolded, because I've told this story that we couldn't have kiddos. That was our plan. We thought, we know how this works. It's going to happen. And about a decade later, we found ourselves not with a kiddo yet, and God redirected our hearts. And most of you probably have heard this story, but we ended up adopting our daughter Lavelle when she was in her 20s. She had basically aged out of the foster system, and she got married. We have 2 little grand kiddos now, Eula and Clem, and I would not trade them for anything. But to get there, it meant releasing my plan.
Yeah.
No, not on my radar at all to be like, you're going to adopt a 20-something. Like, just not on my radar, not in my plans. But I'm so glad it was in God's plans because I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
And so I think we're saying that it means being open to things looking different than we expected or hoped.
Right. And one of the things I didn't do, so forgive me for this, is to even ask this question. Because what I'm asking is, when was a time when you had to adapt, to adapt a plan or be open to unexpected direction, or I would say unexpected redirection is what it was. And that's what happened with you with Lavelle. You were praying for an answer to prayer. And I'm sure lots of people spoke into your life and told you what that should look like or would look like.
So many people said, God told me you're going to have a baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have any I understood the intention behind it.
Right.
That it was a kind intention.
Because they thought that was the path.
Yes. They wanted to reassure me, And so, there's lots of opportunities, I think, for us to just kind of latch on to a certain thing.
Right.
Because it feels like hope. And instead, God just may have something that looks different.
Right. Yeah. Well, and an unexpected redirection there is that the babies that you enjoyed were grandchildren.
True.
As a really young,
young Nana.
It was a young Nana. I know that for me, when I think about having to adapt to a plan, I look at mine and Richard's life. And I was a city girl who married a country guy. And we had this big plan of he wanted to do farming. He wanted a ranch. He wanted to do all of these things. I look at our life now. We are so far from where we started. Yeah. And we have had people speak this over us that would say, man, you really took him far from his roots, or you went way away from where you were supposed to be. And I think we're exactly where we need to be. We're exactly where we want to be, but not just today. We were exactly where we wanted to be back then too.
Yeah.
So I think being flexible is this. And I've told this story before, so thank you for your patience. But I remember being in a Sunday school class, which I don't even know if we have Sunday school anymore. Most people have the small groups. But when I would walk in, there were people who always sat in the same place. And one day, just to mess with someone, I sat in their seat, just to mess with them, just to see what happened. And this guy walks in and he looks and he's like, you're in my seat. And I said, oh, there's a whole bunch of seats around me. I'd love for you to sit here. He sat on me. He literally sat on me until I moved so he could have his seat. And it was funny. And he's a friend and he knows I tell this story. But on a more serious level, we can become rigid.
Yeah.
And we can think this is the plan. There is no other plan. We talked a little bit about that in our plan A versus plan B in our last episode. But this is about being flexible. What if God's plan is different than yours? What if he's going to take somebody like me who was very comfortable behind a computer in her yoga pants with her hair in a ponytail and no makeup and says to her, I'm going to put you on a stage. And I'm like, excuse me? What do you mean? So I think it's more about being rigid and being flexible. What is the difference between that and why does it matter?
Yeah. We hope you're enjoying our conversation about the art of flexibility. And if you're in a season where you're thinking, yes, I want to be flexible, but I'd also like a little direction, then I wanted to share with you about my online course, Find Your Purpose in This Season. It is full of tools and insights, understanding how you're wired, what that looks like, alignment with God's plans for you. And you can find out more about it at hollygirth.com/purpose. I would love to come alongside you as you choose both flexibility and purpose in 2026. Now back to our conversation. And I think especially we're talking in January about this. So in the context of probably a lot of people making New Year's resolutions that are
Right.
now not turning out the way
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
we hoped.
We're 2 weeks in.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're like,
I mean, that
love
never
it.
happens to me.
Yeah.
But I also set resolutions like have a nap and a snack every day. So set
Yeah.
the bar low. That's what we're saying. No. But I find that a lot of times we will try something that turns out to not be a fit for us. And yet we feel like because we've committed to it, we have to keep doing it the
Yeah.
exact same way. Like we talked
So you
about.
stay stuck in something you're not a fit for.
Yes,
Yes.
because
And you're
we
miserable.
confuse quitting and adapting, but they're not the same things. So I talked about how I walked a client through planning the first 90 days of 2026. And then I said, now all of this is an experiment.
Okay.
You're going to try it. And if something works, you're going to keep doing it. And if
Okay.
it doesn't, you're going to throw it out and try something else.
That's good.
So I think of plans as experiments because we don't know until we do something if it's going to work for us or
Yeah.
not. And so if we heard someone on Instagram say the key to health is eating only no-bake cookies,
Yes.
I'm in.
and we pull that off for, 18 days, and then we decide that we'd like sugar cookies, then saying I'm going to adapt, like this isn't working for me, isn't quitting. It's wisdom.
Okay.
Right.
That's good.
So you can keep moving toward the same overall goal. Like say your goal is health and you've said, I'm going to walk every
Yeah.
single day. Like that's a
Yes.
great example, Susie. And that worked really well for you for a season.
Yes.
And then you sort of got all the strength you could from that. And then
Yes.
you found out, oh, yoga's a great fit for me. You adapted.
Mhm.
And even if you had said, I'm going to stop walking and switch to yoga,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be quitting. That would
No.
be adapting
Yeah.
because you're still moving to the same overall goal of I want to be healthy and active and have rhythms in my life that support that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we need to give ourselves permission to say, I'm not quitting, I'm adapting.
Right.
That's
And
good.
that is not failure, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
So that can give us more freedom.
Yeah. I mean, that right there, I think is going to set so many people free, myself included, because, there's so many times we say, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, man, I've started and stopped so many things in my life. But to know that, maybe that was adapting, it wasn't a good fit. That's super helpful.
Yeah. And there are times that when we are dreaming and we're planning, we might sense the Lord taking us out of our comfort zone.
Mhm.
Yes.
And we're like, no, this is my seat. I'm not sitting anywhere else. This is
Mhm.
what I do. And yet the Lord is saying, I see something in you that you may not see yet.
Yeah.
And my response might be, but if I do that, what if I fail? What if I fall? What if I mess up? I think embracing the truth that there's a learning curve to anything new that we try
Yeah.
and making room for, and I don't call it failure. I actually I think it's success when you try something, you
Yeah.
fall down and you get back up. I'm all in on
Mhm.
that. I think that you're courageous and brave, but being able to say, okay, Lord, I hear you saying that as I'm going into 2026, you're going to stretch me in this area. So I'm going to include your plans, even though I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be rigid. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to be flexible
Mm-hmm.
and see where you take me.
It's okay if that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It usually is
Yeah.
to say, I'm going to stretch and try something new and be awkward. Being a beginner always feels awkward,
It
like
does.
for everyone.
Well, and even at a certain age, I still feel the Lord calling me out of my comfort zone. I got a
Mhm.
call this week. I can't talk about it yet, but it was kind of fun and exciting. And my first thought was, Lord, are you bringing something new in this season? I was like, yes, I am. Okay. Another learning curve, something else to kind of learn and maybe stumble and fall and figure it out.
I think that's so good because I feel like that overarching theme that like failure really is not trying, like if we can give ourselves that space. But I feel like we're never done, that there's always going to be, no matter what age, what season, there's always going to be new adventures. And that's the exciting thing. I think that's why I love watching you, Susie, because you are like very adventurous and you're like, let's do it, taking up, like walking for like 7 miles in the morning at the worst time in the world for someone like me, like you're so open to doing, you've hiked in the
Appalachians.
Yes.
That was so fun.
I know.
And so hard.
But like, that's such a good example for people who, like, I can say a lot of people will be like, man, you're bold and you're whatever. But there's a lot of timidity in my life to where I'm like, oh, I'm so cautious and so afraid of everything. But then that other side that says, go for it.
And I would never describe myself as adventurous. So it's funny to hear that. I think that I'm open. Mm-hmm. I'm open to, and I knew going in that this was going to be hard. The Appalachians especially was going to be hard. But the thought of being able to just stretch a little more was actually exciting for me. Mm-hmm. And so, and maybe that's the heart of this, is that as we're looking into 2026, is to make our plans, to dream, to step into our skill sets, all of those things, but also to have a part of us that has an open hand that says, and maybe I'll go a different direction, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I think to have an open mind, I keep thinking that a big part of this is curiosity.
Yeah.
I think curiosity is mental flexibility, and it is one of my favorite traits in people.
I like it
because the opposite of curiosity is closed-mindedness.
Yeah.
And we certainly have enough of that on social media.
Yeah.
So when I meet someone who's genuinely curious about the world and about people, like, it's one of my favorite things. I had lunch with someone this week, a woman that, one of her my favorite things about her is how curious she is.
Yeah.
And so I asked her the question, where has your curiosity taken you since I saw you last?
Oh.
Because I knew she would have something interesting that she had been like figuring out or exploring or thinking or digging around. And sure enough, she did.
Yeah.
And when we left, I said, if your curiosity takes you somewhere, I want to know. I want to come too.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go. And so I just think that I don't know. We don't think much about curiosity. We almost think of that as childlike, but I think it is one of the most beautiful qualities in adults. Mm-hmm. To say, my grandpa, when he was, 85, took a computer class, and
I love that.
Like, he was just endlessly curious about the world. He never got to the place where he's like, I know all that. I've been there, done that. Yeah. I want things my way. He was just always relentlessly curious, and it made him a delight to be around.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking lately, like, my form, if I were to pick a flexibility related word for 26, I think mine would be curiosity, that I want to be intentionally curious about people, about life, about God, about just whatever's in front of me.
And see where it takes you,
Mm-hmm.
So as you're planning for this year, make those plans, write them down, do all the things, but ask yourself too, God, where do you want me to go? Where are you taking me? And maybe there's another seat for you, all ready for you to sit and try out a different view, a different perspective. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's it for today's episode. Thanks for going deeper, becoming freer, and connecting with us. More Than Small Talk is a part of the KLRC Podcast Network and is produced by Kara Culver. Show notes and resources are available on the More Than Small Talk page on klrc.com. You can also join us in our Facebook group. Subscribe to More Than Small Talk on your favorite app so you won't ever miss an episode.